Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in to this late edition of the Thursday, late release of the Thursday edition of the Redefine Podcast. My name is Ronnie Cruz. If in case you're brand new to this show, I appreciate you indulging me and any inconvenience that the late release might have caused. But I'm doing my best to keep up with it because as I mentioned in Tuesday's episode, circumstances have dictated my focus and attention go towards other things, and gladly so. I mean, I love my dogs, and having a new puppy is really always incredibly fun. But I'm trying to do my best to stay on it so that, if you're doing long form, the advice is, of course, consistency. You have to consistently publish whatever your cadence or, schedule that you've decided. For me, it's twice a week. When I first started the show, and I'll get into that in just a second, but when I first started the show, it was one every day, and I was going for one every day, for an entire year. Stick to your cadence as much as possible. And what that will do is that will help you create momentum for long-term growth, because there really takes a huge level of consistency with long form podcasts, YouTube videos, even blog posts, right? So make sure you, as best as possible, stick to your release schedule. And of course, for me, the most important thing is continuing to serve you, right? Continuing to share with you the things that I'm learning, and as I work on myself, and as I'm continue to move forward on this growth journey. And one of those things is really, like we talked about on Tuesday, is leaning into embracing the journey and who I'm becoming, right? Embracing that growth process, as opposed to just focused on the goals. Now, goals are awesome. They're important. Again, they're mile markers. It keeps us moving forward, right? The things that you want to achieve. However, it's only one side of the equation, whereas the other side is, again, leaning into and embracing the journey, right? Leading into that softer side, that yin side, the allowing for what happens to happen, so that you're not always focused on a far off future that doesn't yet exist, and it taking you out of the moment. Now, coming back to the show, coming back to the podcast, we recently just hit our 2-year anniversary. I completely forgot. Went completely over my head. September 1st, 2022 was when we launched the show. And so that just happened. And I just I wasn't paying attention to it at all, because again, I really been working on focusing on just being here, being present, and enjoying the process, right? Enjoying the journey, because there is no destination. As we talked about on Tuesday's episode, destinations are fleeting, right? Yeah, it's important to have goals and set sights so that you have forward progression, and you have you can look at your mile markers and measure progress. However, that can't be the only thing that you're chasing, because it's temporary, right? Especially if we're talking about material gains. And so embracing the moment, I think, holds much more fulfillment. Embracing the journey can be more fulfilling than embracing the wins and the achievements. All well and good. I'm not saying it's not fulfilling. However, it's a temporary from fulfillment, as opposed to just enjoying the process, right? Enjoying and embracing the journey, enjoying this journey of mastery. And we could talk about mastery in another episode, but I really wanted to point that out, because there were some things that in the Tuesday's episode that I didn't quite communicate with you, or I forgot to communicate with you on this topic. And realizing that we just had our second year, our 2-year anniversary here at the Redefine Podcast. Again, it's a great achievement, right? It's incredible accomplishment, especially in the podcasting world, where very few, of all the podcasts that get started, a huge majority of the podcasts never make it past 5 to 7 episodes. And here we are at 2 years. And not only are we at 2 years on this show, but there's 300. We're in as far as number of episodes, we're in 340, 340s anyways. And so that's rarefied air, and it's something to celebrate, and we'll definitely celebrate in a future episode, maybe sometime next week. I'll give you guys a retrospective. But it's amazing. I'm super proud of it, but I again, as awesome as those achievements are, they have been almost a side note to the fact that I've really just been embracing being here, right? Embracing sharing this with sharing my thoughts and ideas with you on a week to week, sharing my own growth journey with you, and how much I've really embraced that journey. Yeah, that's for me is where the fulfillment is. And so what I wanted to share with you as an extension from Tuesday's episode is that this whole idea of being able to achieve without focusing on the achievement, or being able to attain a certain level of whatever, without focusing on the attainment of it is really, I don't know, man. I think like in terms of embracing the journey and embracing the growth process, it's really more of a state of being as opposed to a state of attainment or a state of achievement. Because again, attainment and achievement, once you have those things, once you've reached those goals, it's that moment is very fleeting. However, if you're working your best to just really enjoy the journey, you're enjoying the moment, and the moment is eternal because that's all you have, right? Really, really important, really, really important. I think what we can get pulled into, and naturally because we're humans, right? We're spiritual beings for sure, infinite spiritual beings who are having a human experience, and in that human experience it's very finite. Obviously, resources, time are very finite, and I'm not talking about like abundance mentality. We can touch on that in just a little bit, but in terms of just, yeah, the nature of being human is finite, right? We're all gonna see the end of our human journeys at one point or another. But part of being human is being pulled into this finite material realm, right? More and more, because I mean it's ancient programming, right? It's prehistoric programming. We have brains that are programmed to not hoard, but to get as much as we can, because it's a survival instinct. It's an ancient survival instinct. If I don't have enough, then that decreases my chances of survival. And obviously that these instincts have evolved in modern day, but it's the root of it is there. It's a scarcity. It's a scarcity instinct, because again, it's a survival instinct, and you see that playing out even with the highest achievers. It's like, "Oh, I got to get more, I got to get more, I got to get more," but like, to what end, right? To what end? If you're embracing the journey, the and the growth process, right? If you're working on yourself, you're embracing the journey in that growth process, the attainment and the achievement on the physical realm really just kind of happen as an extension, right? Whereas if you're just really leaning on the yang and the hustle, and that, like, I gotta get more, I gotta get more, I gotta get more, not only will, again, you might feel less and less fulfilled every time you get something, achievement, attainment, or something material, whatever your goal is, but you'll also get pulled further into it. It becomes a feedback loop, right? You're ignoring the other side of it, which actually I think is more in a more natural state, where we have this balance of embracing the here and now, embracing the moment, embracing the journey, because that's all we have, and allowing, right, yin, allowing the attainment and the attraction and the manifestation to come, right? As opposed to trying to will it to happen. Willing it to happen, I mean, it works. People can achieve great things, but I think you don't need to, beyond having your basic necessities met. Everything else, I feel, after that can be achieved through embracing the journey and embracing a particular state of being, which is that yin being, well, a more balanced state of being, than just chasing one side of the spectrum, right? And that hustle and that attainment and that attainment centric mindset. Right. So yeah. And also too, what that does as an aside is that it does pull you further and further into being attached to this physical realm, right? Because the more you have, the more you have to have. And people might say, okay, so like there's no limit to how much you can have because that's abundance mentality. Sure, but if you're clawing at it, if you're just going, if it's just always like this land grab, then it's not true abundance mentality. That's more of scarcity because I have to have more. I have to have more. I have to have more because I don't have enough, right? That's scarcity. Whereas the state of being of mastery, and I could talk about mastery in another episode, but the state of being of mastery and embracing the growth process and embracing the journey, again, the abundance aspect of that is that you allow abundance to come to you. You allow abundance to happen without trying to strong arm it and force it because you're not worried about lack, right? You're not concerned about not having enough. Again, once basic necessities are met, then you can work on enjoying the here and now, and even more can appear on the physical realm, can manifest in the physical realm. But having that balance, I think, is really important, and really knowing that it is a state of being as opposed to a state of attainment and a state of achievement, right? I think there's a really, really distinct difference between those two, and you will, in my experience and my advice, I think you will find much more fulfillment and happiness and balance and contentment if you focus on really being in a state of being where you're sorry, too many beings, but being in the sorry, there it goes again. Being in this state of really enjoying and embracing the journey. So that's my message for you today. Like I said, next week I'll talk about what it's been like the last 2 years. I'll give kind of a retrospective and my reflections on the last 2 years of being on this show or doing this show, because I think we should celebrate. And of course, a lot has happened in the last 2 years. A lot has changed. So we'll talk about that and so much more. Let's here's to the next year and beyond, right? So I appreciate your guys' time. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend. And of course, we'll see you on Tuesday with a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.